Hey everyone, welcome back to Verified Gains. Guys, if you're into Solana and or Popcat, please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any big events, big updates. I post videos weekly and I love discussing mainly the technical analysis perspective of cryptocurrency from time to time. Like today, for example, I might talk a little bit about some upcoming news in the crypto community. However, most of the time we like to look at the technical analysis perspective and we like to make some informed decisions based on the technicals. So again, guys, if you're into Solana, okay, which is a layer one, and or Popcat, which is my favorite meme coin, please make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out. Okay, so let's dive right in. So let's start with the Bitcoin chart over here. I mean, since mid-July, so it's been about 2 weeks now, we've been consolidating around this $117,000 to $119,000 range. And things are looking very good so far. And why do I say that? Well, look, so we retested, broke below, but quickly rebounded, retested, and now formed this particular red candle with a long shadow to the downside. Now we need to take this with caution because, time and time again, I've said before, the markets love retesting the tail. And that is right now around $114,000, $115,000. And there's a high likelihood that we might actually form some real body, meaning the thick part of this candle around the low over here at $114,000. Okay. And I hope it doesn't happen, but if it does happen, it'll likely happen this week. And the reason is pretty simple. So we have two major news coming out tomorrow. One is about the crypto policy. If you guys want to read more about that, I would just Google and kind of look into what's happening with crypto tomorrow. It mainly has to do with further guidance in regards to how the US is going to approach the strategic Bitcoin reserve and how they're going to use the seized assets, how they're going to collect further Bitcoin, yada, yada, yada. Now, in the technical analysis world, it's generally not important what the outcome of that policy is going to be. However, we can kind of predict what could be the result of it. Okay. So, number two, it has to do with the federal interest rate. So today, or tomorrow, excuse me, the federal chair is going to make an announcement in regards to what's going to happen with the federal interest rate, whether they're going to cut it or they're going to keep it steady, or highly unlikely, but even raise the interest rate. Now, I've said it before and I'll say it again. It does not matter whether the federal chair cuts the rate tomorrow or later this year, and I'll explain why. So we don't have a lot of time left in regards to when the chair can announce interest rate cut. And earlier this year, they basically promised at least 2 interest rate cut, meaning if it doesn't happen tomorrow, it's going to happen 2 out of the next 3 dates where the federal chair could possibly make that announcement. And so for the major market movers, it actually doesn't matter whether it's announced tomorrow or by the end of this year because essentially they can start pricing it in. If it's announced tomorrow, great. It will be an immediate bull run. Even if it's not, the markets are going to slowly build up and price that potential interest rate cut by the end of the year, and 2 interest rate cuts, in fact. Okay. So either way, I believe it's very bullish. So then why didn't the market just price this in at the beginning of the year? Well, everybody has to be positioned, to their own best interest. And what I mean by that is the market always finds a way where the big players, the big whales, are positioned in a way where they'll profit the most. Okay. And earlier this year, had they cut the rate anytime sooner, Okay, it would have basically caused a you know a parabolic price movement to the upside for Bitcoin. And it's less likely that the major whales or institutions would have been able to position themselves in a favorable manner. However, a lot of time has passed this year. It's already been 7 months, 8 months now, and so I believe that they've positioned themselves favorably. They're okay with further move to the upside, and it is actually in their best interest to start seeing some move to the upside because the second half of the year has already started. If we do think that the Bitcoin is abiding by the traditional 4-year cycle, then the proposed Bitcoin top around mid-September is coming soon. So right now we do have enough time for that explosive move to the upside, followed by a blow off top. And I still think it's going to happen. Okay. So from a technical perspective, what can we see? So far, we have the Bitcoin consolidating above this support line at $117,000, like I've said before. And what I believe will happen is no matter what the news is tomorrow, it's largely going to be bullish. And the reason I say that is because, for example, if we're consolidating below over here, I would have said that there's a higher likelihood that regardless of what the news is tomorrow, we might retest $110,000. However, because we're consolidating above it, I think we have a better chance for further price discovery. And it's purely price discovery because there's essentially nothing else in terms of a resistance line. If anything, one may argue that, okay, we can draw a horizontal trend line right here, and it happens to form this bull flag, if you will, and that deadline happens to be tomorrow. What a coincidence. So even from a technical perspective, things are looking very good. And then if you have another similar price increase, let's say from here is 12%, another leg up from here was about 7%. So, maybe we'll see around another, 5 to 10% increase tomorrow. So that would largely put this at, around 130,000, which is great. Because at some point we might experience another pullback and trigger another mini alt season, if you will. Okay. So while we're on that topic, let's check out some other layer ones. So for here, we're going to check the Solana chart, and things are looking pretty good. Okay. From a technical perspective, we're largely retesting this major support line at $180, and we're holding it pretty well. In terms of resistance above it, if I had to draw one, I would say it's around $205 over here, where we had the strong rejection here about 1 week ago. Okay, so our goal, depending on tomorrow's news, is to actually retest the $205 line over here and see if it can resume upwards. So let me actually zoom out over here. And once we break above $205, actually things are looking pretty good because at that point, I don't imagine a long delay until we retest the $267 line. But this is the first step. Okay, so first step was we must break above 205. And because we're consolidating, and that's about a 13% price to the upside. And right now for me it's a good time to accumulate because we are holding our price above $180. So I think this is a pretty good place to accumulate Solana. Not a whole lot of crazy trend line movement over here. I mean, technically speaking, we broke below it, right? So will largely have to depend on this support line, this horizontal support line at $180, and see if we can bounce off of it. Okay, Popcat. A little sad to see. However, it is still my favorite meme coin. So I continue to buy it. Okay, I mean, some people might say, okay, well, this is kind of stupid. Like how much Popcat are we going to buy? That's hard to say. Okay. Um, did I want it to see breakdown below 35 cents? No. So I'm a little sad. Now this resistance line once again, because we retested, and in about 20 minutes we're going to form a new candle over here. However, remember the Popcat, which is on the Solana chain, is largely dependent on the Solana's price movement. So although if I was just looking at Popcat, things are looking a little sad. If I go back to my Solana chart, remember, we might bounce back up. And if we bounce back up, then I believe Popcat will also recover. However, so far this past week, for example, on every red day, I continue to buy in. And so my Popcat holdings continue to increase. And I thought about, buying other meme coins like Useless or some of the newer ones. I was at one point tempted to maybe even buy Mog Coin. But right now, I just want to stick with Popcat. Um, and I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful. I looked at the top holders list, and it's looking like a pretty solid list. Okay, like people are definitely not selling it. We're still waiting for mass retail inflow, but I don't believe we've seen that just yet. And even if we had, back in 2024, I believe a lot of them have exited since. So right now, I believe most of the holders are number one, and they don't care to lose that money, so they're just holding the bag. Or number two, they really believe in Popcat for whatever that is worth, and they're just holding on to it. And I'm probably in the latter group. So if you're holding Popcat, please subscribe and let me know, because I don't see Popcat that often discussed on YouTube. I feel like I'm the only person talking about Popcat, but I know there's a community on crypto Twitter. But on YouTube, I'm just curious who else is holding Popcat. It'd be kind of nice to know. So if you are, let me know. We're in this together. We're trying to build a community here. So, all right, fun stuff. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening in. Please don't forget to subscribe. Tomorrow, let's see if my prediction is right in terms of Bitcoin exploding to the upside. All right, I'll catch you guys later. Bye bye.